Yes. Yep.
Heidi, and you aren't going to name people that are here, so it's up to me, kind of thing.
I just say it in
perfect, thank
general.
you.
I
Yeah.
say you and Derek. Give me 1 second.
Yep, take your time.
What did Mo just tell me? Okay, I gotta change something. This is what I say.
Yep, I'm listening.
I just say, I want to thank the many members of our community who serve our state on the state legislature, our town council, and our board of education attending today, as well as veterans and families. And I thank Renee for all her work in the parade.
Great.
Other than that, I don't name them.
Yep, yep, yep. I sometimes do, and I've gotten in trouble for forgetting somebody.
No,
so
I know. And you have
I
a
want
lot
to make
of
sure.
people here today too.
I know.
So I know Kate Farrar's here.
Yeah. Are you kidding?
Yeah, so he's right here. Have you ever met him?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh,
So
no rush at all.
you guys will be at ease, but I say put you at ease.
Yep.
I'm introducing that. There's supposed to be another World War II veteran here. I don't. You come to attention for the benediction or invocation,
Yep.
and for Javier. Good morning. My name is Heidi Ann Mooney. I served in the Marine Corps, and I will be your MC today. Hoorah. Thank you. Today we were blessed with having 2 World War II veterans in our parade, and one of them was able to stick around, so I'd like to take a chance to introduce you all to Ben Cooper. Ben, can you give us a wave? Ben, you are our local town hero.
Yes.
Ben started to serve in 1942 with the U.S. Army, who designated him a medic with the 45th Infantry Division. And after being in Italy and France, he helped to liberate the Dachau concentration camp. He has spent his life speaking of freedom, loyalty, and sacrifice. The other World War II veteran that we had in the parade today was Tony Allen. Tony was born in 1928 in Hartford as Anthony de Dominicis. He served in the Army from 1945 to 1947 in California, and while he was disappointed not to serve abroad, he sang while in the service and went on to be a well-known entertainer who performed around the United States and continues today to perform in Connecticut and in Florida. Please join me as we celebrate these 2 men from the greatest generation. Memorial Day is not the day to thank veterans for their service. It is a solemn occasion where we reflect and remember those who sacrificed their lives and reflect on the ultimate cost of freedom. We owe gratitude to those fallen heroes and encourage remembrance, not just on this day, but throughout the year. We must never forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. We must keep the memory of fallen heroes alive and make the world a better place in their honor. You can do this by supporting veterans and Gold Star families, engaging in your community with community service, mentoring youth, and promoting American values, which are pillars of the American Legion Post. Memorial Day, formerly known as Decoration Day, started in 1968 when civilians placed flowers on the graves of those who were killed in battle. After World War I, Decoration Day came to be observed in the honor of those who died in all U.S. conflicts, not just the Civil War. And at that time, the name changed from Decoration Day to Memorial Day, officially in 1967. I'd like to call forward Lieutenant Colonel Sean Nolan, U.S. Army Reserve, for the invocation.
Thank you, Commander Mooney. Please join me in an attitude of reverence. Father, you have declared in your word that a person can show no greater love than that they lay down their life for their friends. Today we seek to honor the memory of our countrymen who have died in service so that others may live in freedom. Men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice, may they be at peace. And we ask you to bring comfort to their loved ones. For those still living, we ask your continued protection, and that you lead us to live our lives in a way that honors and remembers those who have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. And we ask and pray all these things in the mighty name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Nolan. Commander of the Guards, please call your units to attention and present arms. I would like to call forward Javier Colon, singer, songwriter, international recording artist, and season 1 winner of The Voice. He will sing our national anthem today. Javier is standing in today for his daughter who was sick. Those in uniform or military covers, please come to attention and salute. Those not in uniform can remove their hats and place their hats over their hearts.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Beautiful,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Javier.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank the many members of our community who serve our state on the state legislature, our town council, and our Board of Education for attending today, as well as all of our veterans and families in attendance around this memorial. Thank you also to Renee McHugh and her parade safety officers for their efforts to coordinate many parts of today's parade and ceremony. On behalf of the Hayes Village American Legion Post 96, we thank all of you here today for your service to our country, our state, and our community. We are honored this year to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Seth Allen, U.S. Army Professor of Military Science, at the University of Connecticut, and he was the Grand Marshal of today's parade. Lieutenant Colonel Allen lives in West Hartford with his wife and son. He has served in Kuwait, Jordan, Afghanistan, and Iraq. In today's program, you will find the Lieutenant Colonel's bio. Commander of Arms, please place your units at ease. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored Lieutenant Colonel Allen will come forward to share his thoughts with you.
Senator Slapp and other distinguished representatives, Madam Mayor Sherry Cantor, American Legion Commander Captain James Cowley, and former Commander U.S. Marine Corps Captain Heidi Ann Mooney. And to all the veterans, families, and proud citizens of West Hartford, good morning. What an absolutely beautiful day. It's the kind of day that allows you to know and realize that the heavens are smiling on West Hartford today. I'm honored and humbled to be here with all of you on this solemn yet celebratory day. As I walked down here this morning, I could feel the buzz of the community, kids in baseball uniforms, the sounds of local marching bands, and our neighbors waving as each of them passed. These little moments full of joy and hope are exactly what we serve to protect. They are what reminds me of why I joined the military, why my father joined the military, and his father before him. It is not about the flag or the uniform. It's for the people. It's for you. When we sign up to serve, we step into the unknown. We don't always have the words to explain why we do it, but we feel that pull, that sense of duty. And often it's rooted in the love for our communities that raised us, communities like West Hartford. This town doesn't just build good citizens, it builds character. It shapes leaders. And today we remember those who carried that love of their community into uniform and gave everything. Today we honor the memory of those who left West Hartford to serve and never came home. Some buried in foreign lands, and others laid to rest in our own cemeteries. While the mood may seem somber, today is not just about mourning. It's a day of gratitude. We celebrate the lives and legacies of our hometown heroes who answered the call of duty and gave everything for something greater than themselves. In World War II alone, 139 men and 1 woman from this very community gave their lives. One of those heroes was Lieutenant Mary Odell. Mary was born in Connecticut and raised right here in West Hartford, living on Griswold Drive, just down the road from Morley Elementary. Before joining the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, later known as the Women's Army Corps, she worked at Aetna. And she was one of the first to answer the call when women were allowed to serve. She helped forge a new path for women in the military, breaking barriers with courage and conviction. Mary died in service to this country in May of 1943, over 82 years ago. She was a trailblazer, and she made this nation stronger through her service. I hope those who knew the Odell family had a chance to share her story, to pass it down in a way communities should, because remembering Mary isn't about history, it's about legacy. Another name we should all know is Gordon H. Sterling, better known to his friends as Jim. And you may recognize that name for the ball field behind Charter Oak International Elementary. Jim grew up in Argyle Avenue, just a stone's throw from Fernbridge Park. He graduated from Hall High School in 1937, where, by the way, he wasn't just a student. He was in the chess club, the rifle club, the debate team, and the president of the engine club. So yes, he was a guy who could win an argument and fix your car, amongst other things. Jim went to Trinity College and he worked at Pratt Whitney before enlisting in the Army Air Corps in 1940. On December 7th, 1941, the day of the attack on Pearl Harbor, he was one of the few pilots who made it off the ground to fight back that day. For his heroism, he received the Distinguished Flying Cross and Purple Heart. He gave his life in defense that day for his fellow servicemen and was buried with honors at Arlington National Cemetery. He was the first West Hartford resident to make the ultimate sacrifice during World War II. And we will never forget him. So what does this all mean for us, those who gather here today with flags, flowers, and fond memories? Whether you're a teacher, a nurse, a coach, a parent, or simply a neighbor, you have a role. We are all caretakers of the next generation. We're responsible for helping them love this community the same way Jim and Mary did 80 years ago. Let today be a reminder of the price that was paid, but also a celebration of the spirit that was never lost. The spirit that lives on in every backyard baseball game, every school recital, and every neighborhood barbecue, and every moment that allows us to enjoy our freedom. I'm grateful to walk in the footsteps of those who came before me. I'm especially grateful to share a few words with all of you today. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for honoring. And thank you for never forgetting. Happy Memorial Day, West Hartford.
West Hartford resident here today, our very own Connecticut State Senator.
This is a day of gratitude, and so I just want to make sure that we express our gratitude to our first responders who are here today. You know, Memorial Day has become a day that's synonymous with travel and with the beginning of summer. My brother is traveling, or historian. So we spent the weekend talking a lot about Memorial Day and about its origins, and I've learned a lot. We all learned, if we didn't already know, that it was originally called Decoration Day, right? Because it was about decorating the tombstones and the graves of heroes who had fallen. I did not know, though, that it was in May, in part because that's when the flowers would be in bloom all across the country, so that makes sense. I didn't know that it changed to Memorial Day after World War I, which we all learned, to make sure that all our fallen heroes are honored from all our wars. Another thing that I learned was that I think this is fascinating and really kind of speaks to the meaning that a lot of us draw from Memorial Day now, is that prior to 1866, Confederate soldiers and Union soldiers were honored oftentimes differently, at different times, by different folks. And there was a women's group in Mississippi in 1866 that decided that they were going to honor both Union and Confederate soldiers together as a way to help heal the country after the Civil War. And that was really the beginning of the tradition of honoring everyone together, of not making that distinction and trying to bring the country together. And again, officially, I think Waterloo, New York was kind of the official place that Memorial Day began. But it has evolved over the years, both the name and the traditions, and again, the bringing the country together. We have done a much better job as a country honoring the sacrifices of women and African Americans who have sacrificed and paid the ultimate price, and that wasn't always the case when Memorial Day or Declaration Day started. So I think it is critically important, right, to never forget the sacrifices, to never forget our fallen heroes. It is not enough, though, I think. We need to do more to honor the service and the sacrifices that our veterans make every day. And that's, a responsibility of all of us, and especially those of us who are serving, whether it be in Congress or in the state General Assembly. And in just a second, I want to acknowledge and introduce my colleagues who are serving in the House. But again, it's not enough to just say thank you. It's not enough to say that these heroes died for all of us to enjoy our freedom. All of that is absolutely true. But again, I think it's incumbent upon us to say, what can we do, right, to move the ball forward? This past week in the state Senate, we passed a bill to help our veterans get access to nursing homes and nursing care that they need. So that's an important bill, and I'm sure, right, that's a great bill. We can clap for that. And I think that the House, I'm confident in the next 2 weeks of session before we end, is going to pick that bill up. It is unacceptable that any veteran is experiencing homelessness. Absolutely unacceptable. And there's more the state of Connecticut can do to prevent that. And we also anticipate passing the bill to help our disabled veterans, right, afford property taxes struggles. So there's more that we can do. But again, I think we need to look to the past in terms of what happened in 1866 and the model that could bring the country together. And that's what our veterans have done for us. That's what their sacrifices in part mean. So I'm grateful to everybody here who has served. Thank you for your sacrifice. Again, I want to bring up Representative Gilchrist, Representative Sanchez, Representative Farrar, all who do a great job in the House advocating for our veterans.
Good morning, everyone. My name is James Sanchez, and I am a representative for West Hartford in the Elmwood section, District 6. This is my first time marching and celebrating with West Hartford in the Memorial Day Parade, and I must say it was extremely great experience for me. It's my first time, like I said, and I had never been to a parade in a small town before. And I must say, it feels like family. It feels like unity here. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys, having me here. And I want to say thank you to Heidi, to Lieutenant Colonel Allen, and to Senator Slapp for what they said. Because many a years I've been trying to educate the folks that I encounter about what Memorial Day is about. There seems to be a lack of knowledge that this is a celebration for the fallen that made our freedom true and real. As we all know, freedom is never free. We have to fight for that freedom. Let's continue on fighting for that freedom. Thank you. So with that said, I'm going to pass the mic to my colleagues here. And I also want to say one thing. Congratulations, West Hartford, for being on that list of one of the best towns in the country. And congratulations to our mayor, Cantor.
Good afternoon, friends. I am State Representative Kate Farrar. I wonderfully serve in the House of Representatives with Rep. Gilchrist and Rep. Sanchez, Rep. Exum, and Rep. Bobby Gibson on behalf of West Hartford. And in addition to what my colleagues shared today, I just want to reiterate really the value of us remembering. I know in my own family with my grandfather, Russell Callahan, who served during World War II under General Patton, it was his stories in our family gatherings about his friends that he lost that really solidified for me as a young child, even an understanding of service. And therefore, I think today, days like this and the stories that we can share with one another lift up that true message that Representative Sanchez shared, that our freedom is truly never free, and it really is incumbent upon all of us to share those stories of sacrifice and also see in our own lives how we can serve one another. Thank you, everyone, and Representative Gilchrist.
Thank you. I'm Representative Jillian Gilchrist. I represent the 18th District here, and I just want to say that what I'm feeling today is a lot of gratitude. A lot of gratitude for those who have served and lost their lives so that we could be here on a day like today. And walking down the street and seeing all of the smiling faces just makes me really grateful to get to live in a community like ours. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all for your leadership and your comments today. West Hartford is lucky to have a wonderful mayor, Sherry Cantor. She began her leadership role as mayor in Cantor.
I think that's as good as I can do. All right. The hardest part is introducing everybody and making sure that there's so many people that make today possible. So I'm going to actually start with Renee McHugh, a special shout out. Well, actually, first I'm going to start with Heidi Ann and the Veterans Commission, the Legion, all of the people that have made this sacred space so meaningful for our community. Thank you. I also want to give an incredible shout out to my dear friend, one of my favorite people in the world and a hero to me, Ben Cooper. Oh, please. And Tony Allen, thank you for walking, marching. And I've heard Tony sing. It is a gift to hear his voice. My almost nearly 97-year-old mother is here with my brother, Les Grano, so Rose Grano and Les Grano. I also want to give a thank you to my husband, Michael. My sons, Josh and Ben are here. My daughter-in-law, Teresa. My granddaughters, Louisa and Ruby are here. And Teresa's brother, Kevin, is also here. Thank you for being here with us today. I really appreciate it. And again, the people that make this possible, Renee McHugh, you have heard, but it really can't go without extra thank you to coordinate all the pieces. Our town manager, Rick led with, nothing happens without Rick saying, it's okay, let's do this, and he gets the remarkable done. Our police and our fire departments, our color guard that are here today. I know our chief is here, Vernon Riddick, and I think Deputy Chief Tara is also here. But let's just give them a round of applause, please. And the reason that we are, look, there's a lot of great communities to live in the country, and I think we try really, really hard to be the best at every turn. And we could not do that without really dedicated elected officials. I want to start with our Board of Education. Not all of them, I think, are here, but most are. The chair, Lorna Thomas Farquharson, veteran Latoya Yagaloff, Claire Nessarella, Jason Gagnon, Ethan Goldman, and I'm not sure, I saw all of them marching. I'm not sure if Shannon Merriman is here or Gil Harris, but I want to thank them as well. And then we can give them a round of applause. And then from our council, I know Alberto Cortez was marching, our Deputy Mayor Ben Winograd, Town Councilors Deb Pullen, Tiffany McGinnis, Carol Blanks, and I know Barry actually was hurt and could not walk today. But I think that's everybody. If I forgot anybody, you can yell at me later. So, all right. That's always a challenging part. All right. I want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of this beautiful day to be in community, to celebrate with us, and to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to our country. Every year that we gather, I feel a deeper significance of the responsibility of service and the fragility of our rights and freedom. But I must say this year, I feel more profoundly and more moved by the meaning and sacrifice that we are remembering and honoring today. And I know our Lieutenant Colonel Allen shared the local stories of Mary Odell and Jim Sterling, who we celebrate every day, Jim Sterling, as we play on the fields. But those incredible stories right here in our community, and how well we can remember those. Again, thank you to Lieutenant Allen for sharing your message with us. We are so grateful to have you here, and we know we're going to see you tomorrow at the inductee ceremony. I don't think I'll be doing any cartwheels at that event. So, but Lieutenant Allen comes from a family of service, as you have heard, and is a highly experienced and decorated leader. And now, as professor of military science at UConn, at our really beloved UConn, since 2021, he has been shaping the next generation of Army officers before heading into another phase, which is going to be very interesting. I'm sure he'll share that tomorrow. We are all here to carry on the tradition that was established by returning West Hartford veterans from World War I in the 1920s. It is time for us to pause and reflect on those we have lost, whether in service or after service, and to think about their sacrifice and to express our gratitude and pride for their service to keep our country safe and free. Last weekend, I was in Chicago, where two of my sons live, my other two, and I went to a crosstown classic baseball versus White Sox. And I will say there were an extraordinary amount of popes there, and the White Sox still lost. But I joined my sons Sam and Jacob and my son Jacob's girlfriend Mara for a visit to the National Museum of Mexican Art, located in the heart of the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago. First, we had delicious tacos and then walked the area surrounding the museum, taking in the beautiful murals and mosaics, so colorful, followed by a wonderful visit to the museum, taking in the rich history and the connectedness of Mexico and America. I came upon an exhibit with portraits and stories of Mexican American soldiers, some of who came home and some of who didn't. There were many stories of the awards for their bravery and valor. They served with distinction. For example, the 158th Infantry Regiment, also known as the Bushmasters, was a unit of mostly Mexican-American, Latino soldiers, and Native American soldiers from Arizona who were praised by General MacArthur as one of the greatest fighting combat teams ever deployed for battle. Many Mexican-American soldiers from New Mexico were among the soldiers who died in the Bataan Death March, a brutal 65-mile walk to the Philippines, where they endured incredibly harsh conditions, extreme heat, hunger, and physical abuse, resulting in many deaths. There were pictures of many young people full of hope, whose families had come to America in search of security or economic opportunity. They were in uniform fighting for a country that didn't always welcome or accept them, but they were willing to sacrifice everything for this country. I thought of my own Jewish grandfather, my mother's father, who left Poland due to Jewish persecution. The Russian army was conscripting young men in Poland to serve in the Russian army. He did not want to do that. He left Russia, came through Ellis Island, and was almost immediately enlisted in the American army and serving in World War I. He barely could speak any English and was not a U.S. citizen, we do not think, at the time. He fought and was shot in battle in France and was lucky to have survived. There are so many stories like my grandfather. The story of Americans' military is inseparable from the story of immigration. As we mark over 50 years since the end of the Vietnam War, it is important to pause and remember the thousands of Mexican-American soldiers who served and sacrificed in that deeply complex and painful conflict. Many were drafted, many volunteered. Some were born here, others not yet citizens. But they went, often from small towns, working-class neighborhoods, and barrios, to a place halfway around the world, driven by duty, by a belief in this country, or the hope of a better future for their families. There were many non-citizens who continued to serve in our armed forces today. They wear the same uniform. They swear the same oath. They take the same risks as anyone else. Some hope their service will one day earn them citizenship, but most of them serve because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Courage, sacrifice, and patriotism aren't limited by your citizenship status or where your parents were born. It is about what you stand for and what you are willing to do for your community and your country. It lives in people's choices and their willingness to stand up, again, for something bigger than themselves. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our veterans and to their families who have given so much. And today, as we lay wreaths and share quiet moments of remembrance, let us remember all of them. The nearly 1.2 million soldiers who died in battle or not, who made the ultimate sacrifice, and the families who carry that loss with them every day. Let us honor them not just by our words, but by preserving and building on a country that recognizes and respects the contributions of all who call it home. General Patton said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." That today we thank God for the brave immigrant who wore our flag and gave it all they had. Again, that was General Patton. God bless our special community and God bless America. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Cantor. I'd like to thank our American Legion Auxiliary members for their efforts in sharing red poppies around town to keep this important custom alive and to teach the next generation about this time-honored World War I tradition, symbolizing the red poppies that grew on the battlefields during World War I. Poppies help keep our attention on the most important aspect of the holiday, remembering the ultimate sacrifice of our fallen soldiers. Another tradition is the ceremonial laying of a wreath of flowers on graves or memorials and is practiced around the world. Heads of state, U.S. presidents, and veterans honor departed members of the armed forces or society by laying a wreath of flowers at sites to remember those we have lost. Commanders of the Guard, call your units, post the colors, and present arms. At this time, I would like to ask post member wreath is presented. Mayor Cantor and Lieutenant Colonel Allen, we stand. Today at 3 p.m., the sound of taps should be heard in towns and cities across our nation to remind us to pause for a moment and to remember all who answered the call of our nation and the call where they gave all they had and laid down their lives. There is a true cost to war that we must remember. I often wonder what these men and women would be doing today if they had not sacrificed all for us. I'd like to now invite Lieutenant Colonel Sean Nolan for our closing prayer.
Please join me in prayer. Father in heaven, in your word, you describe a group of people who did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Today we remember men and women from the history of our nation that you have blessed, who could also be described this way. Lord, show us all how to rightly value human life and give each of us the wisdom to recognize when what we have an opportunity to defend is worth defending, even unto death. We ask you to continue to shed your grace upon this beautiful country. And finally, we ask, Lord, in the concluding words of our great patriotic hymn, My Country 'Tis of Thee, long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King. Amen.
Zonderboss, who will head to West Point this June and will be part of the next generation to serve our nation, will close our ceremony by sounding taps. Thank you for your attention today. When he is done playing, please enjoy your day and think of those Americans who gave their all so you can enjoy living in a free country.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. You're doing very good. We're limited. Wow, I didn't realize. How much longer do you have to do?
It just happened.